progressing as individuals. That's why it's drastically important that we are moving along together as a team. We'll all be at different places in our journey, and that's the way the Lord's created it. Thank God that our lives aren't all the same, and you know, he would be so bored with that. He is such a God of creativity and such a craftsman when it comes to weaving the things in our lives together to bring him glory and to teach us and instruct us in his ways. He's a master at it. And I'm amazed at the skill that he has and he shows in all of our lives. Like, how did we get here from God, you're amazing that I'm here and I was there, and oh, Lord. Progression as a team. We have to grow in relationship with one another, and this happens both musically and spiritually. As you come to know people, it helps you to worship together better. That's why even times like this are important. When we're hanging out, having fruit and bagels, thank you for that lovely spread, and pizza later, just spending some time together, getting to know one another. Instead of blowing in and blowing out real fast, you know, there's a relationship and a community that needs to be developed because that's the way God created it. He created the church that's made up of many parts. And, you know, when David had the Ark of the Covenant and they were going to bring in the Ark, you know, after it had been it was in exile, and then it was at, not Obed, I forget, Kiriath Jearim, yeah. It was hanging out there for years, and David's like, I want to bring the Ark of God, the Ark of Covenant, which represents the presence of God. I want to bring it back to Jerusalem. So he was like, it says that in 1 Chronicles 13, he conferred with everybody, red flag. He conferred with everybody, got the popular opinion, and then they decide, yeah, let's go do this. This seems right. So he's so reactive. I love that. Yeah. So they get a new cart, you know, and they go and they get this, and two guys, Ahio and Uzzah, where it says drave in the King James, drave the cart, which actually means to lead or guide, which the presence of God refuses to be led. So they were carrying it on a cart, and then it hit the threshing floor, it says. And you know what happens on a threshing floor? That's where the wheat and the chaff are separated, which is actually a very violent process by blows, oxen walking all over it, or they actually had instruments that would beat it apart. Painful process. On the threshing floor, the oxen stumbled, and we know Uzzah reached out just to steady it. He wasn't trying to, he was just going to steady it, and God struck him dead. The threshing floor is a place, the worship is a threshing floor. And he separates in our lives the useful from the useless. But it comes through breaking. It comes through sometimes that purging and that beating. It says in Hosea that the Lord wounds, but he also heals. Sometimes brokenness comes into our lives. Not every bad thing at the hand of God. We know that because of his heart. But because of his great love for us, he is able to make all things work together for good for us. But worship, the presence of God, is like this threshing floor. And what happened in that moment, I mean, they were celebrating right before this. They had the harps and the lyres and tambourine dancers. Everything was going on. It was a big party. And then all of a sudden someone dies, and that's really a party killer right there. That was the end of the party. And David got mad. So he's like, I can't do this. I can't bring this cart. And then 2 chapters later, in 1 Chronicles 15, it says that then they inquired of the Lord. And David said he recognized his issue. He talked through this thing with the Lord. He didn't just stay mad. He had some talks with the Lord, and which is amazing because the relationships weren't like that in that time. So what an amazing thing to have that relationship with the Lord and that communication and dialogue with him. But he got some understanding of what really happened. And he said, it's because we did not inquire of the Lord that this happened. So instead of it coming on a cart, we are going to do what it says in the law to do, which is the Levites need to carry it. So instead of them pulling it on a cart, it was even a new cart. It doesn't matter how new, how great anything is. If it is not in the prescription of God, it cannot be blessed. It cannot. So they go back to the prescription of the Lord, which is for the Levites to carry the ark. And that is a picture of community. Because even though it took two of them to drive this cart, you know, it's like a little kid. She's 18, my niece, 18 months old, not 18. But she like pulls her little things, her little wagons and stuff. But then all of a sudden she sees something else that interests her, so she lets it go where it is and she just takes off. That's what can happen when we're carting the presence of God along. We can get distracted, just, oh, okay, and end up somewhere else. But when you are doing what it says as the prescription of the Lord, you're carrying the ark. You're not carting it around. It is literally resting on your shoulders because the presence of God is a mantle to be carried, not a cart to be pulled by our own strength. It's a mantle that we wear everywhere we go. But you know what would happen if I'm here, if Dwayne is back there, and we're carrying this as a mantle, I would know if Dwayne put his side down. Because the presence of God is about community. Community with Him and community with one another. And that is such a picture right in that place of 1 Chronicles 15 of community, carrying this. And as we are progressing as a team, hopefully we will know, even if it's not in conversation, but maybe the Lord just might put someone on your heart and you'll be praying for them, that there is a community that, oh, I don't want you to get tired and put that down because it's a mantle that you wear. But I'm here to help you carry it. That's the community of God. And that's what can happen as we progress as a team. We can grow in musicality together, bearing with one another and challenging one another. And let me tell you, you have really bared with me. I remember playing piano a couple years ago, especially when Dwayne and Amy were out. And there were a couple weeks, and my schedule was free, so I was able to help. And I would be starting into a song, and I'd just see Terry so sweetly. Because I play everything fast, because the faster I play, the less I have to play. Because then, it's not just me, good. Because then I didn't have to do all that fill stuff that I'm still learning how to do. So I would just play it faster, and Terry would be so sweet and just trying to calm me down, slow me down. I'm like, oh. But you know what? How kind. Like, it has never, as you have dealt with me in my growing musicianship, you have never been, why can't you just get this? Instead, you are like, you're teachers to me. Dwayne, when I get to watch your hands and when I can sit with Amy and when I can hear your playing, you get some serious mileage out of those keys, and I love it because I forget that there's a bottom and a top. I just remember the middle, but you've got it all. You play all of it, and it's beautiful. So what I've been able, like I'll hear something, I'll be like, and I'll go home and I'll work on it at home, and I'll think, I have the same 88 keys that they have at that church. Why doesn't this sound the same? And I have to work at it till sometimes, you know, because my ears can hear it, my mouth can sing it, but my hands can't always play it. But I'm growing. And when I hear Gary playing the bass, he is like my anchor. When you're on bass and I'm at piano, I'm like, thank God. Because hearing you and going the places that you're going, it helps me. One, it anchors me. Two, it pushes me because I can't be lazy and just get the same place the same way every time, which is really the wealth of gospel music.